I'm Red Arnold, candidate for State Senate, District 7, Wisconsin. Today's subject, shall we say, going down the list of the issues that I have posted on my website, is education. Most of the things in education have been accomplished with Act 10. We don't necessarily need to do more aside from the one thing that everybody ignores because they don't want to be the ones to say it. Well, like everything else, I guess I'm going to have to take that torch and run with it. Parental involvement is the key. And I understand that some kids basically don't have parents or a good role model or a home to where they even get fed. My parents are both retired NPS teachers. My mom would tell me stories about the kids who would constantly ask, when is the hour that we eat? Because they didn't have breakfast that day and they might not have had dinner the night before. Or the kid who complained to a social worker at school, they went and talked to the parents, and by the time the kid got to the school the next day, his eyes had been swollen shut from being beaten so hard. These are the stories you don't hear in any education setting. And yes, these need to be addressed, but they need to be separated from education. Another big thing with education is the people with disabilities, especially cognitive disabilities, special needs, and I'm not talking special needs where you have a speech impediment or you have trouble with math or reading. I'm talking about the kids who don't even know their own name. They can't use the bathroom themselves, yet they're lumped in with education. They're lumped in one of two ways. One, the parents think that their kids are just like everybody else where they're not. And again, nobody wants to talk about this. They're deluding themselves into thinking that everything is the same, everything should be the same. Well, no, it's not. It shouldn't be the same. It's the same reason we have handicap ramps and handicap parking spaces for the people who can't get around very well. Yes, it should be taken care of, but it should not be lumped in with education because federal guidelines mandate that these expenses come off first. They come off the top before anything else gets spent. Nobody knows that either. Again, there should be resources for these kids, but it should not be lumped in with education. Yes, you might have a caretaker, somebody who's specialized in it, and you might be teaching that kid to read. You might be teaching that kid to write, to do different sorts of things, whether it's, say, a Down syndrome child, to where you're training them and teaching them how to be self-sufficient. Those are special needs that require special segments. Don't lump them in with education because if the money gets taken out there first, then the actual education needs for everybody else get taken away. So if you separate that and make sure that's funded, key, which of course that's half the problem with government, making sure that the things are funded, that is how we're going to take care of that issue. Now, the issue of grades and schools and tests and all that, we sent a man to the moon, men to the moon, humans, for those of you feminists or leftists out there who can't stand pronouns. They were sent to the moon using slide rules by people who are taught in one-room schoolhouses using wood-burning stoves and chalkboards. We had it. We don't need to change anything. And building that new football stadium or building a new school does not do that. All these referendums that are coming out, which I'll address in a second. But education, we've lost our way. We've started focusing on B when we should be continuously focusing on A. And all of this crap that we're throwing in there, oh, climate change and making sure that gender neutral and blah, 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 blah. Learn that on your own time, okay? Separation of church and state. You can't teach the Bible? Great, I agree with that. Fine and dandy. But all of a sudden, we're teaching all this other stuff instead of reading, writing, and arithmetic. So when you can read and write and do math, so then when you come against climate change and rising temperatures, and now you can understand what those mean. Those are separate. We don't need those. Stop teaching those. Otherwise, China is going to continue to kick our ass. They're not going to kick our ass. We're going to park our ass on their boot. So if that's what you want, then continue the path that we're on. Otherwise, that's the part that needs to be fixed. The referendums, addressing the referendums. I think this loophole needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed fast because every school, Mark Belling talks about this, so many schools are going into debt, a debt far beyond what they can repay in any reasonable amount of time. This is a really bad idea. And there's no law that says that if I say I need money for books, that I can't be like the homeless guy, need money for food, and I go out and spend it on hookers and beer. Well, it's the same thing. There's no law that says, all right, if we're going to build a new wing, build a new this, build a new that, build a new library, they can take the money and use it for whatever they want. And it always goes to the same thing, teacher benefits. Again, teachers need to be paid well, and they are. In fact, I always make bets, and nobody ever takes me up on them because I don't make bets I can't win. The same thing when I talked about the McDonald's and the Walgreens. Okay? Have a teacher show you their W-2. Have a teacher show you how much they make. And then when they show you, show you their tax forms, ask them about the benefits. Ask them if that includes benefits. And it won't. There's an average between 22 and 27,000 for the early teachers, and it goes up from there. But my parents are retired. I know what they make. Okay? And my mother, after 30 plus years of teaching, made the same amount as a friend of mine, or she had the equivalent of a master's degree. She was making, after 30 years, what 7 years later, a buddy of mine with a bachelor's degree with 11 years was making. So anyone who's saying, oh, we're having a teacher shortage, because, well, then they're believing some garbage. They're believing some bull, because ask a teacher who's quit if they regret. First off, you're probably never going to find one, because half of them realize how good they have it. The other half are delusional and think, oh, we have it so bad, so bad, so bad. I know, because my folks used to say the same thing. Then all of a sudden Act 10 came, and my own dad said, I knew we had it good. I didn't know we had it that good. He'd be complaining, oh, Tommy Thompson didn't give us a 3% raise. We haven't gotten a raise in 2 years. Yeah, people out there aren't getting raises. You know how many people out there are looking for jobs? You know how many people out there, thanks to NAFTA and the like, had to unbolt the machine that they worked on for 30 years so they could ship it overseas so that somebody can get paid $10 a day to do it? So don't gripe, okay? Again, we need to pay teachers well, and we do pay teachers well, and we should continue to pay teachers well. In fact, I like the idea of merit-based. But, oh, you can't do that, because that would mean that you would actually have to work for a living. And if you're a bad teacher, then you know you're on the way out. Dance of the Lemons is what they used to call it. But Howard Fuller, if you watch that documentary, and it's literally what, you take the bottom 5% and they literally just transfer them around until they have enough time to retire. And then they say, all right, you got to go, you got your retirement, get out of here. So that's pretty much all I have on education for now. But if you'd like to know more, by all means send me an email, and hopefully, if you're watching this last minute, because fortunately I've been so busy campaigning that I haven't been able to do this, but feel free to send me an email, voteredarnold@gmail.com.